by 5-Hour Energy. Number 17, Ole Miss, sitting at 1-0 after a drubbing of Tennessee Martin a week ago, getting set to take on Fresno State, which won against FCS Abilene Christian last week. Rebel the Black Bears ready to go. So are we. Ole Miss won the toss and elected to receive. Adam Amin, Kelly Stauffer, Olivia Harlan, our fantastic crew, getting set to go for week 2 of the college football season in one of the bucket list atmospheres in the country. Garrett Swanson will kick away for the Bulldogs. And off we go. Short kick grabbed at the 5-yard line. And it is Jalen Walton, outstanding return man. I think that Jordan Wilkins, who's sliding next to him, he's out to the 15-yard line on a very short return. Welcome into the broadcast booth, Adam, Kelly. So this is an Ole Miss team that's one of 10 ranked in the SEC, but a lot of SEC teams are still trying to find their quarterback.
Exactly.
We'll see that LSU Mississippi State tonight. Ole Miss still has some decisions to make at QB as well.
Yeah. The saying is, if you have 2, you don't have 1.
Right.
Well, they have 3, and Chad Kelly gets the start today, and I think he's out ahead. He's going to have to play well today to maintain that lead.
Yeah, Hugh Freeze said it's his job to lose. He's going to make a start for the second consecutive week. 9 of 15 last week in that win over Tennessee Martin. He starts with a pass. Right away, it's caught across the 30-yard line. And a good gain for Laquan Treadwell. Coming back from that gruesome injury last year. Had a solid week last week. And he starts the day with an 18-yard gain. And Ole Miss, which has Alabama next week, wants to start turning up the tempo. We're going to see it today. From the 33-yard line, high snap, bobbled by Kelly, and he recovers it and turns it into a positive gain. He'll get dragged down by Shannon Edwards, the safety for Fresno State, after a 4-yard pickup.
You know, and Adam, you talked about it. Hugh Freeze really wants to go fast and faster offensively. And it's really important this week that they get that speed going, because next week it's going to be front and center in their game plan against Alabama.
Second down, 6 from the 37-yard line. The fake to Walton, the comeback throw to DeMaurier Stringfellow, thrown behind him, and it's 3rd down.
Yeah, Chad Kelly was actually trying the back shoulder throw to Stringfellow and is just a little bit too far outside. What we have with Chad Kelly is he's probably a better athlete than Bo Wallace was. A huge arm, a very quick release, but it's all about efficiency with taking care of the football.
They'll send Walton out, throw the bubble screen on 3rd down. The defender in the area slipped, and that allows Walton to run it deep. Inside the 20-yard line, and Edwards finally drags him down. There is a penalty marker thrown all the way back at midfield. It was a 53-yard gain coming back after a holding penalty. Unable to hear who the number was, as called by John McDade, our lead official today. But a holding penalty negates the 53-yard screen pass.
Well, Evan Ingram had a great block out on the edge, but that's not it right there. Someone, and I think it was actually Treadwell, number 1, had a takedown out wide at the point of attack, and that's where the hold was called.
So Kelly sets up shop again on 3rd down, swing it out to Walton one more time, and this time short yardage situation enough to pick up the 1st down to the 43-yard line, and Edwards shoved him out. So this drive does stay alive despite that penalty. But a hot start for Ole Miss, coming off 76 points last week against Tennessee Martin. They fake to Walton, swing it out wide to Quincy Adebojo, and he gets chopped down on the outside by Dalen Jones after a 5-yard gain.
What we're going to see out of Fresno State is a 3-4 kind of Blitzburg type defense. They're going to attack all the time. About half the time they're going to be blitzing somebody.
2nd down. It is Kelly keeping it. He's a good athlete. He runs into Kyrie Wilson, but not before he gets the 1st down to the Fresno State 43.
And you mentioned it, a good athlete, a better athlete than probably Bo Wallace was.
This is a give to Wilkins, working his way up the middle to the 38. Grabbed by Jeff Camille, the junior, weak side linebacker in that 3-4 for Fresno State.
And with Tunsil not playing today, there was some movement, kind of the ripple effect along that offensive line, and it's important that those guys up front get settled in this week as well.
No Laramie Tunsil for the second consecutive game. Fawn Cooper is starting for a second straight week at left tackle, and Sean Rawlings, number 50, starting at right tackle this week. The NCAA investigation continues on Tunsil. Give to Wilkins, pushing his way for a first down and more. Inside the 20-yard line, spun down by Edwards. And despite that penalty, this drive is looking really sharp for the Rebels.
In a lot of drives, you have to overcome penalties, and the Rebels are in the process of doing that right now. Wilkins is the thumper in that running back position.
A 19-yard run there. Right back to Wilkins. And a good run up the middle on first down. Running into Wilson after a gain of 5.
And Adam, that's that change of pace. Walton is more of the speed guy, and then you bring the thumper in, Jordan Wilkins, like we've seen on the last couple of plays.
Kelly to throw one-on-one on the near side of the field, and Cody Core going up top to score. Touchdown, Ole Miss on an excellent opening drive.
The core was matched up. Charles Washington, number 28, and Hugh Freeze loves those kind of 50-50 balls. Throw it up and let our big receivers go up and out, position the defensive back, and take the ball away. That's a great example of it on this first drive.
Ole Miss goes swinging gate here, and will set up for the extra point with Wunderlich on. So a 76-point effort in week 1 against Tennessee Martin, and Ole Miss in just over 3 minutes, inside of 3 minutes, with an 85-yard, 10-play drive ending on this beautiful toss to Cody Core, who's got 3 catches this year, 2 touchdowns, 7-0. Welcome back to Oxford, Mississippi, and the SEC on ESPN. Ole Miss with a college football playoff type drive. Cody Core capping off a 10-play, 85-yard opening march down the field to give Ole Miss a 7-0 lead after an impressive offensive performance last week. Great start for Chad Kelly in his second start at Ole Miss. And now there is Damari Scott, a guy who's been a veteran for this team, is added to the receiving corps and into the return game. He's had a long road back to the roster. He was planning on redshirting, but he is back in the lineup this week with a depleted receiving corps, and he'll be back to return. A kick from Nathan Noble, kickoff specialist. Scott and Jordan back. This is Jameer Jordan, and he gets popped hard right across the 20-yard line. So Ole Miss has a quarterback, I don't want to call it a controversy by any means. There's not much of a controversy for Fresno State either, but they've got a couple of young guys that they're going to mix in and out. One of them is Zach Greenlee, a former Under Armour All-American.
Yeah, Zach actually had a tight hamstring before the game, and so it was questionable who would actually start here today, but very accurate passer, very high football IQ, and he's going to be out there today, and then they're going to get reps for Virgil as well, and we'll see when he comes in, usually the second quarter.
Start this drive from the 20-yard line at an empty set, and into traffic. That ball goes a little bit wayward, intended for Jameer Jordan, and Trey Elston was in the area defensively. Big hit put on Jordan going over the middle there.
And Ole Miss will be in kind of a shell, too high coverage a lot, and those safeties, Elston being one of them, have to react down just like he did on that play.
Martez Waller, outstanding running back next to Greenlee in the 4 receiver set. It'll be Greenlee keeping it, running to the edge. Very good zone read run there. He gets close to the first down marker. Martez Waller is one of those impact guys.
Yeah, Waller is the table setter for this offense. They want to open up the middle of the field formationally and then run the football and try to hurt the defense. And Ole Miss, C.J. Johnson, he missed last week, so it's important that the leader at middle linebacker, the quarterback of that side, comes back and plays well today.
Part of that land shark defense that was so good last year, leading the country in scoring D. 3rd down and 1. And a stop in the backfield as nowhere to go for Martez Waller. It is Denzel Kemdichi coming up with the stop.
A lot of leakage and penetration early on that quarterback zone read, and it just blew it up. You can see right there, just the offensive line trying to form a wall. and there just wasn't anything there. Waller could not even get started on that play, and if Fresno State is going to have a chance today, Adam, they have to get something going on the ground, and then it's the play-action passing game and moving the pocket with the quarterback.
So Carlos Davis will step back to return a Garrett Swanson punt. Strong leg for Swanson. 3 punts last week, all of them were fair caught. Good hang time guy. And the play clock running down on 4th down and 4.
Game offense. 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
Instead of burning a timeout this early in the game, they'll go and take the 5-yard penalty and lean on Swanson here. Tim DeRuyter is the head coach of the Fresno State Bulldogs, now in his 4th season. 2 really good years when Derek Carr was the quarterback for Fresno State. They took a bit of a step back last year, did go to a bowl game, and did compete in the Mountain West Championship game. They finished 6-8. Swanson booms one away, and a fair catch signaled by Davis at the 41-yard line. So Ole Miss leaning on Chad Kelly, named the starter for the opener, but 2 other guys behind him as well.
We see Kelly, an efficient release, experienced more than the other 2. He's been around the block a bit. Buchanan was the backup to Bo Wallace last year. Smooth release, very accurate. And then Kincaid is really kind of a change-up guy, but he wants to be the starter.
Right.
He doesn't want to just be the package guy, but raw arm strength. But quarterback run game is squarely on the table when Kincaid is in there.
Yeah, Buchanan's almost the guy with the short end of the stick because Kelly's getting the starts and Kincaid's got package built for him. There it is, Kelly for the second drive of the game. He led a great one. Last touch for Ole Miss. From the 41-yard line, Kelly will fire again, and a pass on target for Treadwell. Grabbed by Jamal Ellis, and he keeps dragging Ellis close to the 31-yard line. A 28-yard catch and run for Laquan Treadwell.
And this is all about the formation. Treadwell is by himself on that side. A very good job at the line of scrimmage, and then the throw and the catch.
And Treadwell, who is very physical, showing off that strength there. Kelly, plenty of time. And now he's going to take off and run it to the 24-yard line. A really good start for Ole Miss offensively, and even Kelly on the runs, he looks very sharp as well.
Yeah, and that run actually represents a really good decision because that time they were going back to the well once again and trying to throw that slant to Treadwell, and Fresno State rotated their coverage to that side.
After the 7-yard run, Kelly will fire this time, and he finds Core inside the 20 for a first down. Grabbed by Tyquan Glass at the ankles on a pickup of 5.
I really think Hugh Freeze's gut is telling him Chad Kelly is the guy. But they want to see it one more game, and I think he brings more big play potential to this offense that Hugh Freeze wants in his offense. The plus 20 plays, I think Chad Kelly has that in it.
Ole Miss trying to go tempo. Fresno State having substitution issues. This could be a free play. Kelly will fire towards the end zone, and it's incomplete. This is probably going to be a penalty against Fresno State as they continue to substitute and try to send players off the field. Cody Core could not corral it with Ellis in coverage.
Illegal substitution on the defense. 12 men on the field at the snap. 5-yard penalty, first down.
This is what tempo does to you, and that's what Ole Miss is trying to do.
There's one guy going off at the top, and then real late, yet another guy is going to try to get off the field as well. And defensive coordinator Nick Toth was worried about that very thing. He wants to blitz, but it's hard to do that when the opponent is going this up-tempo hurry-up stuff.
Here's Treadwell setting up that tunnel screen for him, and Laquan Treadwell seeking space. It'll be first and goal for Ole Miss. Tobetta Okeke finally caught up to him.
Is Treadwell back from that horrific injury a year ago? They need to answer that question before next week. Alabama's just right down the road, and he looks good so far. And when he's good, Adam, he's an alpha dog that you can throw the ball to even when you're in trouble. Kind of a security blanket. He certainly was that for Bo Wallace a year ago.
And Treadwell, the broken fibula and dislocated ankle in the game against Auburn. 4 catches last week, already 3 for 56 yards this week, and he's stacked on the near side with DeMaurier Stringfellow. Kelly keeps. Kelly scores. Touchdown, Ole Miss. What a start for the Rebels.
We're seeing Kelly's athleticism, and I think it's actually underrated. Bo Wallace was kind of a sneaky good athlete, and Chad Kelly just simply has that ability. And we saw the unbalanced offensive line to the right, fake into the running back to the left, and then Kelly just tucks it up in behind that extra big guy up front.
That's 2 rush TDs in 2 weeks for Chad Kelly in 2 starts at Ole Miss. The nephew of Jim Kelly Instagrammed the video how excited he was when he saw the action from Kelly last week. And Chad Kelly this week putting together 2 outstanding Ole Miss offensive series. The land grab in the Grove. Man, this is one of the great places to go watch a college football game and spend some time. Ole Miss in Oxford, Mississippi, and Chad Kelly making some friends the first couple of weeks. 76 points last week for Ole Miss, already 14 in the first 6.5 plus. Here today, a 14-0 lead. Jameer Jordan will take a knee, and we go down to Olivia Harlan for the first time.
Guys, quick start for the Rebels, but I don't think Hugh Freeze was too happy with that last play. Even though they scored, he kept yelling before the snap, right side, not that, not that. And then when Chad Kelly came onto the sideline and everyone congratulated him, Coach pulled him aside and did not congratulate him, kind of reprimanded him. Then he saw Chad on the phone right after, so maybe that was not what they had originally designed up.
Yeah, that's one of those not that, good play.
Like the three-pointer that a guy shouldn't be shooting.
Exactly.
But that's one of the things that Bo Wallace was, a free spirit, and Hugh Freeze is trying to work that out with his quarterbacks now. So Zach Greenlee goes to work, and he'll give to Martez Waller, the outstanding running back for Fresno State. He runs for 8 yards, and Mike Hilton, the rover, in that back end for Ole Miss with the stop.
And Fresno State would like to go fast as well, but you know the speed of the offense is kind of regulated by the driver. In this case, it's a newbie. You know, Greenlee getting his 3rd start of his career, so I don't know that they're going to be pedal to the metal today.
Waller on the swing pass, and Waller has enough for the first down. It was an open quarterback competition for Fresno State. Brian Burrell leaving with a year of eligibility left. Brandon Connett graduated. So between Greenlee, Chasen Virgil, and Ford Childress, they had a bit of an open quarterback competition. Greenlee is the starter, but we will see Chasen Virgil likely for the first full series in the 2nd quarter.
And man, reps are precious when you're that young at that position.
After the first Fresno State first down, they go right back to Martez Waller. And if Fresno State is going to have a chance in this game, it's going to be behind the veteran offensive line and behind that great running back in Waller as he runs for 5.
Couldn't agree more. I think the offensive line has the ability to move. And how do they match up athletically with this incredible front from Ole Miss? That's the question.
Another read, another give to Waller, and this time he just dives ahead into Fidel Brown off the edge. Not much room there, and it's 3rd down for Fresno State.
Well, you wonder if Greenlee's hamstring is going to prevent him from running the football. We saw him early in the game run it once, but that time Brown, the defensive end, was actually crashing down. And if it was a true quarterback read, the quarterback Greenlee should have kept that and gone around the end.
Yeah, and crashes. He runs it off the side.
Absolutely.
Corner pressure being shown, another read play, and this time Waller buried in the backfield with a penalty marker down. That front line led by Robert Kemdici, who had one heck of a game on both sides of the ball last week in all 3 phases, really, makes the stop, and this is going to be a penalty against Fresno State.
Yeah, the chop block, which means that 2 offensive players are one high, one low. Not exactly sure what it is right there.
75 Vasquez.
Personal foul, little chop block. Number 76 and number 77 of the offense. The penalties decline. 4th down.
They charged Fafita and Mitchell. It did look like Vasquez was one of the guys going low, but that being said, still a chop block penalty.
And that being said, Kemdici from the backside. That 3 technique from the backside when the offense is trying to run away from number 5. He blows it up if you run to him, and he chases it down and destroys it if you run away, like we saw in that play.
So Carlos Davis will head back. Swanson got a fair catch the first time he punted the football away. Pressure coming from Ole Miss. They brought some heat that time, and a really good kick to force Davis inside the 15-yard line. 47-yard punt under duress. Ole Miss off to a red-hot start, not only today but in the season. They're joined into the Grove. 100th year at Vaught Hemingway Stadium in Oxford, Mississippi. Adam Amin, Kelly Stauffer, Olivia Harlan. Unseasonably cool temperatures, 73 degrees. It is very comfortable for a September afternoon here in Oxford, Mississippi, and Ole Miss's offense looks very comfortable. So does Chad Kelly, who's got a man downfield, and L.J. Reed. Right, that Markel Pack, rather, incomplete, looking for the sophomore who had his first career touchdown last week.
A lot of pre-snap window dressing in the end. Pack just doesn't hang on to it, but very well formationally to get that play open. Motion it back out of the backfield, clear to the right side, fake the bubble screen, and then get the seam right down the hash, and Pack just couldn't corral it.
Now Kelly, the junior college transfer, former Clemson Tiger, goes to work on second down. That ball's deflected into the air, and it drops incomplete as Claudell Lewis, who's the leader up front in that 3-4 for Fresno State, paws it down.
Yeah, Claudell Lewis is kind of the two guys in one. He's an athletic, really power forward out there on the defensive end position. At that time, he just makes eye contact, gets a hand up. Fresno State desperately needs to get off the field right here.
There's a big third down for Fresno's defense right now. Kelly off to a good start, under pressure. Stands in the pocket and finds Treadwell, who's trying to work his way forward to that first down marker against Jamal Ellis. Based on where the line judge is at, it looks like it is going to be spotted right at the 24-yard line. And it will be enough for a first down.
And once again, we see Ole Miss by formation getting Treadwell out by himself, a 3-by-1 set, and going one-on-one with number one outside.
Now they go the opposite way to Quincy Adeboyo, who's got a blocker in Stringfellow, but gets chopped down at the 28-yard line. On a pickup of about 4 as Glass makes the stop.
So, Adam, it's somewhat like tennis. Go 3-by-1. I put my alpha receiver on the one side, hoping to get one-on-one. And if the defense over-responds to that side, then I have 3 fast receivers off to the other side.
Kelly off the fake, and a good catch by Cody Kors, off to a good start, and he powers his way towards midfield. Dragging Glass for 23 yards. What a start for Chad Kelly.
Sharp. And we talked about Tom Brady on Thursday night was ultra sharp. Kelly is coming out just like that. The ball placement is impeccable, and the decision making, which is paramount with Hugh Freeze, is very good as well.
There's that 3-by-1 set. Send Walton towards the blockers. Goes for one-on-one, and there is Cole over the shoulder inside the 20-yard line.
The thing that happens, the motion takes the focus over to one side. That makes 4 quick receivers off to that side. One-on-one press coverage off to the other side, and I get the ball out to Core quickly.
You're seeing why Ole Miss can be dangerous on offense with all those playmakers, including one more in the end zone. Adeboyo for another Ole Miss touchdown.
Game planning wise, it's a clinic, but quarterback ball placement and decision making is also epic currently, and Hugh Freeze has to be elated with what he sees across the board, especially with Chad Kelly at that quarterback position.
Wunderlich adds the extra point. Fans are fickle. Fans don't necessarily want to wait for somebody to show up, but they waited a couple of weeks for Chad Kelly, and these receivers, they have blown up the first 2 weeks on offense.
Get to the second college football playoff is that Michigan State-Oregon game. I'm really interested to see what plays out there.
21 points on the board for Ole Miss in just over 10 minutes of play as Jameer Jordan will take a knee. Tempo can hurt you when you're a defense.
Yeah, tempo forces miscommunication, and it also forces mismatches. Stop it right there, guys. Right here you have 2 defenders where they shouldn't be, and then you have nobody taking the receiver right down the hash. That's the miscommunication, and then ultimately the mismatch right now that Ole Miss is taking advantage of.
That's something that Fresno State's coordinators talked to us about. Their defensive coordinator, Nick Toth, said, you know, this is a team that just outmatches us athletically in more than one spot, in just about every spot. So Chad Kelly taking full advantage. Can Zach Greenlee and Fresno State get going from the 25-yard line? Give to Waller. And Waller finding a seam, and he's got some daylight. He got tripped up across the 40 by Tony Bridges, and had Bridges not gotten a hand on him, he might have gone for more than just 18.
The patience of a good running back is a beautiful thing. Zone blocking up front. Press the line of scrimmage, be patient, let those double teams get sorted out, and then Waller gashes them.
Zone blocking is the scheme for Fresno State. They like to go to a spot with their linemen, try to chip away and find a hole for Waller, who is about as good of a back physically in the Mountain West as anyone. Greenlee, another read, another give to Waller, and this time running right, he's stuffed right at the line of scrimmage. Channing Morton, Breland Speaks, redshirt freshman, both in there.
And if Fresno State's going to present the quarterback zone read scheme, they can't call it a give every time.
Yeah.
Greenlee's going to have to press the edge sooner or later.
I wonder if that hamstring is bothering him a little bit. We were told before the game that Greenlee was having a bit of a tight hamstring issue, and is that affecting him or not? He's only passed the ball one time in the early going. Emptying it out, they'll run that swing out to Waller with blockers in front, and it's really hard to go horizontal against this very athletic defense. Russell with the stop that time.
You can't play tennis very well against speed. I mean, you have to go power ball, and that leverage that the formation had initially is swallowed up by the speed that you see on the Ole Miss side.
That land-sharp defense, which led the country in scoring D last year, 13th in total D, as good as anybody in the nation, brought a ton back from that great defense from last year. 3rd and long. Pressure coming. Greenlee in trouble, and down he goes. Mike Hilton showing the pressure and driving in for the sack on Greenlee.
In the sure passing situation, Ole Miss adds an extra one to the rush. Number 36, Hilton, comes off the edge right there. It wasn't a coincidence. It was the short side of the field and the backside to a young quarterback, and the blitz by Ole Miss gets home.
Greenlee having all sorts of trouble, and you wonder if we'll see Chase and Virgil on the next offensive series for Fresno State. Carlos Davis back to return once again, and another good hang time kick from Swanson. Back to the 31, a fair catch. Last year, they led the country in scoring defense. They were 8th in the country in takeaways. They have athleticism. They have flexibility. It's about as good as any defense you're going to see.
And we got to talk to Michael Hilton yesterday, and he's the one that just had the sack. And I said, how do you guys get better? He said 2 things. One, we worked on tackling. Missed tackles last year led to too many big plays. And he said the other thing, we have depth now on the defensive line of scrimmage that he thinks is the best in the country, and I'm not going to argue with that based on what we've seen.
Only 20 yards allowed so far today.
And it's all about that 16 points a game number. You can judge defenses all you want, but how many points do they give up per game?
Nobody gave up fewer per game than Ole Miss, and now this offense, which already has 21 points on the board, has another big run from Jalen Walton. All the way out to midfield. 19 more yards and explosive plays on the ground and in the air for Ole Miss.
And Fresno State is not built to hold up against an SEC offensive line up front. If they can't slice and dice and blitz even into the run, they're going to get gashed here this afternoon.
Kelly with time. And a wide open man, and out of play, Joe. See ya. Adeboyo is their fastest wide receiver, and that's kind of splitting hairs really with these guys, but he's their fastest, and he just blew by the defense.
They have a gaggle of receivers that are 6'2 or 6'3. There isn't anyone shorter than that. And then the speed that they throw out there in multiple positions obviously creates trouble for the defense.
Quincy Adeboyo with his 2nd touchdown of the day. He's already got 3 in the first couple of weeks of the season. Just blew by Dalen Jones and the rest of the defense. Kelly beating him over the top. Ole Miss beating him down 28-0. It is a record. 28 points is the most in a single quarter in the modern era for Ole Miss football after the drubbing they put on Tennessee Martin last week. People wanted to see them do it against an FBS defense. They're doing it today.
Yeah, Attaboy Joe is going to catch this one, but it's the same kind of thing. You put out 3 or 4 wides, a little window dressing pre-snap, moving backs around, and right now Fresno State is not communicating on the back end, and Chad Kelly is making them pay for it.
Jordan again, another good kick that time from Wonderlick, and another touchback and out to the 25-yard line. Well, we got a great doubleheader coming up for you on Monday night. It's the start of the NFL season this weekend. Chip Kelly and the Eagles taking on new head coach Dan Quinn, new offensive coordinator Kyle Shanahan of the Atlanta Falcons. Then you'll see the Vikings and the 49ers in the Joe Thomasula era. That'll be starting up on Monday night. Monday night countdown served by Applebee's starts it all up at 5 o'clock Eastern time.
I'm interested to see if Teddy Bridgewater, Vikings, can take that next step forward. Had a nice year a year ago, and it's time to move forward.
And he's got Adrian Peterson in the backfield. He makes his return to Vikings and to the NFL. From the 25, Greenlee keeping it this time. And Zach Greenlee showing the athletic ability. He lost the ball but got it back at the 42-yard line. And that's where they'll mark him down as Mike Hilton put a jarring blow to Greenlee, who holds on to it for a 17-yard run.
We were just talking about that last series, right? Greenlee has to get to the edge and test this defense. And right here, it's really zone inside. The defensive end crashes, and then it's a pulled package play. He can throw it or run it when he gets to the edge.
He keeps it again this time with a blocker in front, just trying to stretch that play out to the edge. Excellent run by Kendarius Webster. The cornerback just kind of stretched that play out to the sideline and got Greenlee after a 1-yard gain. Zach Greenlee, just his 5th career game at the collegiate level, made 1 start as a redshirt freshman last year. Give to Waller, little counter play, which is a staple in the Fresno State running game. He works for about 4 yards.
And you called it the counter play, and I think the counter and the offensive line movement run game, Fresno does better than they do the zone game, but I think zone matches up better against this athletic front for Ole Miss.
Waller up the middle, and he turns forward and lunges for the first down to the Ole Miss 47-yard line as Johnson and Elston finally make the stop.
And Adam, you're starting to see Fresno getting a little bit of a rhythm. That time they went unbalanced to the right. Waller got up in behind it. I think they're at their best when they can get physical with this athletic front that Ole Miss presents down after down.
And that was the final play of the opening quarter. And as Fresno State does look like they are finally in a bit of a rhythm, it's all Ole Miss through 15 minutes. A modern era record for a single quarter. The Rebels, after 76 a week ago, put up 28 in the opening quarter of play. 3 passing touchdowns for Kelly, 1 on the ground. We're up to New Year's Eve when the college football playoff semifinals, the second annual semifinals, will be on ESPN. We're in week number 2. It's college football presented by 5 Hour Energy. Adam Amin, Kelly Stauffer, Olivia Harlan at Vaught Hemingway in Oxford. And the start of the second quarter, Ole Miss, a modern era record for a single quarter, 28 points. And Greenlee, for the first time since the first play for Fresno State, will throw downfield into triple coverage and nearly had it intercepted. There is a penalty marker thrown. Looking for Damari Scott, who makes his return to the Fresno State lineup.
Pass interference. Number 23, the defense. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Look at Carlos Davis, one of the backup cornerbacks for that penalty.
And that flag came out late. The ball hung in the air, which sometimes has the defensive back arriving early, and Carlos Davis certainly did on that play. And that's the vast majority of pass interference calls, is arriving early, and that was certainly one by Davis on that play.
Almost a hooking motion, which is another axiom for pass interference. There's a penalty marker thrown from the sideline.
First down.
Falls starting for the first time. We visit Chris Cotter in the studio. Well, talk about offenses in the first 2 weeks. Notre Dame put up 38 in a drubbing of Texas last week. They're off to a good start this week as well. Here's Martez Waller with Nowhere to go. C.J. Johnson in his return to the Ole Miss lineup as well. He makes a stop after a gain of 1. He's really important to this defense. A guy who's played a lot of positions in his career, but now as the inside Mike linebacker, he's maybe the most important guy out there.
Yeah, he's the leader. He gets everybody lined up, but he also gets to benefit from playing behind maybe the best front four in all of college football. He has to make a lot of tackles as well. He didn't play last week. He needs to kind of get lathered up in anticipation of what lies around the corner next week, which is Alabama.
A violation of team rules kept him out last week. Second down and long, swinging out to Waller, and so hard to go horizontal. Denzel Kimdichie was the first guy there, and then a slew of Rebels knocked the helmet of Waller off, and it's a loss of 2 yards.
Yeah, speed is a great overcomer of being out leveraged, and this time the back is out there early as Waller, and he's a really good receiver, but there's just too much leverage coming from the inside, and that speed just envelops so many plays.
Greenlee fires, and it's complete. But Damari Scott, in his first grab, takes a licking at the 29-yard line. That'll bring up 4th down.
Yeah, I think with the onslaught that you know is coming from the Ole Miss offense, I certainly think Fresno has no choice but to go for it right here. They're kind of in no man's land anyway. It's a missile shot as a field goal, and you gain nothing punting the football.
Now, this will be a 46-yard try. So instead, they'll keep the offense out there for 4th down and 7 and just try to stay in it right now. Blitz coming. That gets picked up. Greenlee with a good strike to Scott, and he got chopped down in the open field. Looked like shy of the line to gain by Trey Elston. Let's see, though, where they marked the football. The line to gain was the 22-yard line.
This is going to be close, but regardless, it was great work by a young running back or quarterback, and they are going to call it a little bit short. The blitz came, as you talked about, right up the middle. Here it comes, and Greenlee sees it, gets it out to his outlet receiver, which is Scott in this case, and then it's all about trying to make something happen. He extended the ball, but the buttocks was already down, so he didn't quite get there.
Tony Bridges and Elston were both there for the stop, and Ole Miss takes over, up 4 scores. A lot of people know Chad Kelly's uncle. That's Jim Kelly, a great Miami Hurricane. He's in the Ring of Honor for the Hurricanes. Actually started his career with the Houston Gamblers in the USFL before he became a 5-time Pro Bowler and 4-time Super Bowl participant, 4-time AFC champ, in 2002 inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And for the time being, after an outstanding first quarter, Chad Kelly, 13 of 16, 3 touchdowns, for the time being is done. And Devontae Kincaid is going to step in at quarterback, and he's on the edge on his first play, getting rid of it late, caught by DeMaurier Stringfellow, and he's wrapped up after a short pickup. So Devontae Kincaid, redshirt sophomore out of Dallas Skyline High School, playing 8 games a season ago. Solid in week 1, 6 of 7 with a touchdown. He's more of a running quarterback, but you don't want to necessarily just call him a running quarterback because he has a really, really good arm. And here's an issue early as well, as Robert Conyers, who is usually the starting center for this Ole Miss team, is down on the deck.
Well, I think the way this quarterback situation is actually playing out, Chad Kelly is, I think, the guy.
Now, Kelly has basically proven himself to be the guy. Hugh Freeze said he has to play himself out of the position. Right now, Kelly's rolling. We step aside as they tend to Conyers. Milwaukee champions before each Ole Miss home game, and Ole Miss looking like a champ right now. Coming off their best season since the Johnny Vaught era last year, and off to a red-hot start here in 2015. Leading 28-0, and Devontae Kincaid showing off the wheels and spinning forward, has it up for the first down to about the 34-yard line as Nick Christopher finally makes the stop. So Kincaid, as we talked about, he's going to be a package guy more than likely. He wants to be the starter. He's got abilities beyond just running the football as a quarterback, but they're going to have a package of plays just about every game for Kincaid, it seems like. That throw way off target. Maybe a little miscommunication on the outside there. And it's incomplete as he was looking for Stringfellow.
Yeah, I think Kincaid certainly brings something different than does Kelly or Buchanan.
Yeah.
So really with Chad Kelly, you get kind of, or with Ryan Buchanan, you get kind of the same thing with Chad Kelly, except one thing. I think Chad Kelly has more upside, big play potential. And I think that's where he's winning the job currently. Ultra efficient, obviously, through the early part of this season.
Five-man pressure, well protected. Kincaid flushed out, throws on the run, and it's incomplete as we go to the studio and check in with Chris Cotter.
All right, Adam, I know you're a big tennis fan. I want to remind you and everybody else that over on ESPN, finals of the women's draw in the U.S. Open going on right now. Roberta Vinci, who upset Serena just yesterday, and Flavia Pennetta going at it right now in the second set. Pennetta already up 1 set and 2 games to love.
One of the biggest upsets in tennis history yesterday when Roberta Vinci beat Serena Williams in 3 sets. Incredible. All-Italian final on ESPN right now. 3rd down and 10 for Kincaid. Another off-target throw. Way wide. Looking for Markel Pack. Shannon Edwards defensively in the area. And that brings up 4th down.
And that's really the scouting report that I would have on Kincaid. He's obviously very mobile. We've already seen that. The quarterback run game goes up percentage-wise, but his arm is still pretty raw.
Yeah.
And we've seen it on this drive here. A little less quickly getting to the decision-making part of it and getting to the second and third guy, and then his throws are just a little bit off.
Rugby-style punt from Will Gleason, the Australian. And Damari Scott diving forward to the 31-yard line and a 34-yard kick. And more college football coming up tonight. Outstanding doubleheader on ESPN. First at 6 Eastern, number 19 Oklahoma, number 23 Tennessee. Then at 9:15, number 14 LSU, number 25 Mississippi State. College football primetime presented by Hilton on ESPN and Watch ESPN. You and I saw the lightning and the rain, and Olivia was getting pounded on the field with all the showers that were coming down last week in Baton Rouge. So finally we get a chance to see Brandon Harris take the field for LSU tonight as we give you a bit of a preview for the SEC. 10 teams ranked in the top 25. All of the SEC West is ranked in the top 25 right now as Waller runs it. Chase and Virgil is in at quarterback, but some things to watch for this season as conference play picks up. Nick Chubb and Georgia picked to win the East this year. Always an anomaly when Alabama's picked to win the West, yet Auburn's picked to win the SEC title, but the SEC media has never been good at picking the eventual champion. They've had it wrong 18 of the last 23 years. Waller back up the middle once again. Not much room as he gets to the 35-yard line. It brings up 3rd down, and as we mentioned, Chase and Virgil is into the game now. True freshman who replaced Trevon Boykin at West Mesquite High School in Texas, now taking over as the number 2 quarterback behind Greenland.
Yeah, and Virgil started 4 years at the high school level, so he has quite a bit of experience in this type of a system, but he's not very big. 6'1", 184. He needs to fill out physically, but getting precious reps here today.
3-by-1 set. Virgil under pressure, under duress, got rid of it to Chad Olson, the tight end. 17 yards, and Virgil took a shot.
And the pressure comes from the inside, the play-action pass, and sometimes you just have to abort the play action to get the ball out quickly, and Haynes was the one that had that pressure right there.
Olson, his 16th career catch. 6 of his 16 catches have gone for touchdowns. Waller running it left. And again, going horizontal against this Ole Miss defense. Hasn't worked out too well so far as John Youngblood, the redshirt junior, makes the stop.
It's kind of a tough place for Fresno State on the offensive line. I think what they do best is movement. But I think that also plays into the hands of this very athletic front four for Ole Miss. But yet they haven't had success zone running the football by just playing more power game either.
Outside to Jordan. Blockers in front, but not a lot of real estate to try to maneuver. Kalo Moore kind of put him into a tough spot and forced him out of bounds.
And Tony Connor was out there on the points as well and did a good job of maintaining outside leverage so that the pursuit from the inside can catch up with that bubble. That's exactly the way that Connor is taught to play that.
A 3rd down and 6 coming up for Fresno State. First drive for Virgil. As expected, first full series for Fresno State in the second quarter. Just a 4-man rush. Jordan gets blown up outside. Tony Connor, the junior out of Batesville, Mississippi, bearing down on Jordan, making the stop, and it's 4th down. Let's see what Fresno State wants to do here. Virgil is still waiting around, and now the punt unit looks like it's coming on.
And a pretty nice play that last time. And Virgil, the ball placement was just to the back shoulder instead of the front shoulder that didn't allow the receiver to continue to the sideline and potentially get that line to gain. And that much, a foot in ball placement makes a huge difference.
Swanson kicks. Decent hang time here, and Carlos Davis navigates the defense and makes the fair catch at about the 16-yard line. And celebrating its 11th year, sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets, Allstate makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kick. To date, Allstate has contributed millions in scholarship funds. And Ole Miss with 5 drives, 4 of them for touchdowns. And now after Kincaid was unable to get into the end zone, Ryan Buchanan will get the opportunity, the redshirt sophomore from Jackson, Mississippi. 4 of 6 for 58 yards and a couple of touchdowns last week, and he's going to throw to start his day. 50-50 ball, just tossing it up there for Derek Jones, and the penalty marker thrown very late, and it's probably going to be against Jamal Ellis.
Pass interference. Number 2 of the defense. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
That wasn't a great throw, felt like Kelly, too, but just throw it up there, right?
And I think that's what got Ellis into trouble. You can see right there, trailing the receiver. The ball underthrown, the receiver tries coming back for it. But the bottom line is, Jamal Ellis did not know where the ball is. That's where he gets into trouble. Very difficult position for a defensive back.
Buchanan, very good against blitzes, very good against pressure. He's going to give it to Jordan Wilkins, who gets stacked up right at the 29-yard line, and we send it to Chris Cotter in the studio.
Adam Kelly, here's what's happening with Virginia and Notre Dame over on ABC, and the Cavs are fighting their way back. Matt Johns finding Evan Butts here. It's 12-7 right now, Irish on top.
Well, a lot of people thought Virginia would make that a game, especially at home against Notre Dame. Good blitz pickup by Wilkins. Buchanan fires out to Markel Pack on the sideline, and it'll set up a more manageable 3rd down here as Jamal Ellis shoved him out of bounds.
And that's exactly what Ryan Buchanan brings to the table. Very good decision making. He knows Hugh Freeze's system inside and out. He's very seldom going to go off script, and that was a good job right there. Someone underneath your curl route, throw it to the flat and make 3rd and more manageable.
Blitz coming for Fresno State. They bring 6. And right in the middle of the field, it's Dylan Barrett as he works towards midfield. First career reception for the senior out of Dry Prong, Louisiana at Ole Miss.
Obviously, a mistake in coverage. You don't leave the big tight end Barrett over the football where the quarterback can see him to convert.
From the 48-yard line, here's Pack. Good blocking along the edge by Derek Jones, and that springs him forward to the 45-yard line. 7-yard pickup right there. Ellis on the stop.
And you see the hurry up once again, and Ryan Buchanan certainly can handle that part of it. Big arm, good decision making.
So a timeout on the field here with 7:04 to play in the second quarter. Ole Miss leading 28-0. First drive for Buchanan. You're watching the SEC on ESPN, part of a huge day in the SEC as conference games get going today. We'll see one later on tonight. LSU on the road taking on Mississippi State. Hostile environment for Brandon Harris and LSU as Harris will make the start after getting no more than a series in last week. East Carolina, Florida in a rematch of a bowl game last year. Of course, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Oregon, Michigan State. The latest dish brought to you by the Dish Network. Second down and 3 for Ryan Buchanan and Ole Miss. Off the fake, nearly intercepted. Brown was there, Stratton Brown. So that was off the fingertips of Jamal Ellis as well. They were looking for Derek Jones over the middle.
The play action pass is supposed to hold the second level of coverage so you can get that seam in there, but very well defended by Ellis. Maybe a little bit of holding right there on the break, but all in all, very good defense.
Slant intercepted. Shannon Edwards picks off Buchanan, tiptoeing down the sideline, and it's a pick 6 for Fresno State. Well, the defense finally gets something going, a pick 6, and the Bulldogs are on the board as they pick Buchanan.
We knew that Fresno State needed good things to happen early, and after 28 straight points by Ole Miss, a little late on that slant, stared it down and just simply did not see the coverage underneath. Edwards, the safety that comes down and jumped that slant and just picks it off and runs into the end zone. That was a bad decision by a quarterback in Buchanan that typically is very buttoned up in that part of the game.
Cody Cronin to add the extra point for Fresno State, which he does. 56-yard pick 6 for Fresno State coming from Shannon Edwards. First career interception. Heck of a way to do it for the senior as he takes it the distance. In the break, we couldn't imagine that Chad Kelly would not play again at some point in this game with Alabama looming. He's already pretty much proven that he's going to be starting next week based on his performance, and sure enough, loosening up again.
Well, we knew, and I think you would agree, that Hugh Freeze's gut was trending toward Chad Kelly all along. He did start last week, and there was a purpose behind that, and the way he's played already. And so, yeah, get him more reps in this game. Make him come back after setting down a little bit.
Yeah, 4 touchdown drives, and then Kincaid and Buchanan couldn't really get much going. Buchanan a pick 6 a moment ago to get Fresno State on the board. Walton will take the knee. And let's see if it is going to be Ryan Buchanan again. They'll give him seemingly another shot, perhaps, or will it be Kelly? This is what the quarterbacks have done so far in this game, and obviously Kelly getting the majority of the reps, getting the entirety of the first quarter, and doing the most work.
And you really couldn't have played better than Kelly has played thus far. And he's going out there now, and I think this is a good move because I think Hugh Freeze in his gut was leaning heavily toward this when we met with him yesterday, and Chad Kelly has simply played almost perfect here this afternoon.
3 touchdowns in the air, 1 on the ground for Kelly thus far. He'll give the Jalen Walton. Pounds forward for a short gain.
But Adam, what you want to see right now, if you're Hugh Freeze picking a quarterback, you want to see him pick up where he left off. You don't want this downtime right now. You're the starter. Come out and get it going again.
Kelly underneath for Treadwell. They set up a 3rd down and short situation. Kelly's the nephew of the Hall of Famer Jim Kelly. We told you about that. He was very highly touted coming out of high school. Number 4 QB out of St. Joe's in Buffalo, but had some issues at Clemson after redshirting. Behavioral issues at times. He's still continuing to have those, and he's trying to clean up his act. Walton trying to spin forward, and he's just short of the first down as Jeff Camille comes up to make the stop. And let's see what the Ole Miss offense wants to do in a short situation.
What they're going to do is go heavy, and Hugh Freeze has a little gambler in him, clear back to his high school days, and he's going to go for it right here. Why not? I don't think Hugh Freeze would be happy with the effort by his offensive line on that first 3 plays of this series.
A heavy package out there. Going to go Wildcat. And diving ahead is Jeremy Liggins. This is a big boy that they like to use, a 300-pounder who's played a multitude of position. It should be enough for the first down, and it will be as we check in with Chris Cotter.
First down.
All right, Adam, the Cavs are pulling out all the stops over on ABC against Notre Dame. Matt Johns lines up as a receiver. After the reverse, he throws a bomb to Keon Johnson. It works out really well for UVA. They're up 2 right now over on ABC.
Not bad. Looking for Treadwell, near side, 1-on-1, another 50-50 ball, and Jamal Ellis is getting tested in this game. The junior is able to defend well that time against Treadwell. 2nd down.
Pretty nice coverage, and he's obviously overmatched physically, but he's often soft to begin with, so it gives him a better opportunity on that deep ball. A little underthrown, 50-50 balls, you have to throw them upstairs and give guys like Treadwell the opportunity to go get them.
Blitz off the edge. Kelly trying to stand in the pocket. He got rid of it, and it is complete on the sideline. Like Cody Core is there as a safety valve. Kelly saw the blitz coming from that side.
And watch the hit he takes as he stands in there to get this throw off. This is what I do believe separates Kelly from the other two. That little gambling type of thing where he'll stand in there, get the ball out with a quick release and move the chains.
They're down in 3. Kelly stands strong in the pocket, through behind Core, who reached back to get it, and he's into Fresno State territory at the 44-yard line, 14 yards.
And I really like the way Chad Kelly looked to the left that time and then came back knowing that his route would be over the middle.
Staying with the tempo, off the fake. Long throw for Attaboy Joe, and the fastest Ole Miss receiver beats the defense over the top again for a touchdown.
You talked about the speed of Attaboy. He gets up on Stratton Brown, that safety, and that's what you want to do.
Matchup, right?
Exactly, the matchup. This tempo creates a mismatch, and then you take advantage of it if you can from the quarterback position, and Chad Kelly has proven he's up to the task.
Kelly, I'm going to guess the formula right now for Hugh Freeze is pretty simple. Chad Kelly equals touchdown. That's what it's been so far, the 5 series that Chad Kelly has had the football in his hands. 4 times he's let it go for touchdowns, thrice to Quincy Attaboy Joe. Touchdown machine right now. The 5 drives that Chad Kelly has led have all been touchdown drives, and all have been 3 minutes or less. Quick strike offense with all those playmaking targets out there for Chad Kelly, including Quincy Attaboy Joe, who had 4 career touchdowns. The junior has 3 today. Career high.
And Hugh Freeze wanting to go fast and faster, and he's been able to do that with Chad Kelly on the field.
Nathan Noble, a short kick, and Jordan bobbles it, dives on top of it, and a long field in front of Fresno State. Stuff's getting crazy for Chris Cotter in the studio.
That it is, Adam. Coming up on the Dave & Buster's halftime report, I'll be joined by Robert Smith and Butch Davis. We'll talk about Auburn getting a real scare earlier in the day. What's going on in the loveliest village? Plus, Coach Harbaugh getting his first win as head man at Michigan. And also those tricky Cavs, as you saw in the highlights, giving Notre Dame all they can handle. We'll show you highlights of that one as well. It's coming up. Dave & Buster's halftime report. We'll see you then.
Sounds good, Chris. We'll see you in a little bit. 4 minutes and 7 seconds of game time exactly. Fresno State goes back to work. Haven't gotten any points on the offensive end. Their lone score on a pick 6. Chasen Virgil is out there for his second full series. True freshman out of Texas. Give to Waller, who's got a lot of space, a lot of real estate on that edge, and a very subtle, shifty maneuver to work past a defender and get solid yardage there.
Waller is a really nice back. I think the best all-around running back in the Mountain West. There's just been a little bit too little of that. It's really the table setter for this offense. They have to get a lot of that, and then it's the play-action passing game that comes off of it. They haven't gotten Waller loose much today.
Waller again, and that time he was unable to escape. Still holding on to that football, but John Youngblood was right there to make the stop. No gain on the play. Waller was 15th in the country in rushing last year, third in the Mountain West rather, behind 2 really good backs, one of whom is still at San Diego State and Donnell Pumphrey. The other guy he was behind was Jay Ajayi, who's trying to get a spot in the NFL. If you're behind those 2 guys, it's pretty good company to be behind.
And he ended up with almost 1,400 yards, and he was nicked up during the year as well.
Second down and 10. Waller was wide at that time. They go to the out route for Damari Scott, and he picks up 5 yards. That'll set up 3rd down and 5.
Ole Miss's way on the defensive side is try to control the line of scrimmage with 4. Very good front 4, active, athletic. They're not real pocket pushers. They're more movers in the pocket, and it's very difficult to stay on them. They're very slippery up front. Especially this guy right here.
That is Robert Kendici trying to penetrate. Quick release, and it's caught by Scott. He's got the first down, a 10-yard pickup. Good job by Virgil to get it to him.
First and 10, Bulldogs.
They plan on redshirting Damari Scott, but a lot of injuries in the wide receiver core to Fresno State. Virgil pumps and goes. He dives ahead. He's got 9 yards there to the 46 of Ole Miss.
Ole Miss kind of dropped the middle of the field a little bit. 3 receivers to the left and 2 to the right. Waller cleared out and went to the right as well. That empty formation sent the middle linebacker out, and Greenlee made him pay for it on the quarterback draw.
Go right back to Waller. Just needed a yard. He's got the first down to the 44-yard line. It's a big day for Waller, too. He's from Eatonton, Georgia, from Putnam County High School. That's about a 400-mile drive from Oxford to Eatonton. And for a guy who's from Georgia, who's playing all the way out west at Fresno State, they've got to make a 1,700-mile trip out to Oxford. It's a rare occasion for his family and friends to actually come out and watch him play a collegiate football game. And there they are. A lot of family and friends in attendance to see Martez Waller today. As he gets another carry, he surges forward for a really good run on first down to the 40-yard line.
And that was a productive run, but you could see the closing speed from the backside. Yeah. It was the fake on the fly motion and then the counter back to the right with Waller, but that speed from Ole Miss's defense closes so quickly.
Christian Russell was the man who made the stop. Second down 6, Virgil for Scott. And Scott spinning, staying in bounds, and Scott inside the 10. First and goal for Fresno State, and Damari Scott emotional in his return to the Fresno State lineup.
And this really is kind of a prototypical Fresno drive. Get the run going, and the passing game is built on top of an effective run game. The run game early in this game has not been real effective, and so now we're seeing a little bit more of the pass game, more rhythm out of Zach Greenlee.
We'll step aside with a Fresno State timeout, Ole Miss timeout here, rather. Second college football Saturday of September, and Fresno State driving, trying to get some points before the end of this first half. It will be Bulldog football to start half number 2. They're in the red zone now. And back to work goes Chase and Virgil. First and goal. Give to Martez Waller, and nowhere to go. He gets stopped behind the line of scrimmage. Tackle for a loss. Speaks in the backfield along with Channing Ward.
And Fresno was going back to that same play, the fly sweep motion, fake that, and then it's a counter back to the right. And I mistakenly said that Greenlee was in before, and obviously it's Virgil, and you're seeing a good tempo right now out of the youngster.
They're letting the clock run. They do have 3 timeouts. They burned about 10 seconds there before calling time.
Out of the half. Fresno State. It will be a 30-second timeout.
From 35-7, Ole Miss has the lead, and a chance for Fresno State to get some points at the end of this half. Second down and goal coming up for the Bulldogs here. This is an interesting matchup because it's only the 3rd meeting. Long trip for Fresno State. They looked a little bit sluggish out of the gate today. Meanwhile, Ole Miss off the blocks, red hot, picking up right where they left off.
Chad Kelly's been off the hook
Absolutely.
good. And Tim DeRuyter, the head coach for Fresno State, was worried about this exact thing, is to be overwhelmed early. And they really were, but they've caught themselves a little bit, and it's a young quarterback, Virgil, getting it done right now.
Trying to do it against that great defense of Ole Miss, the Landshark defense. Still haven't given up an offensive touchdown in their first game and a half. Taking that fly sweep action. A penalty marker is thrown as Waller had very little room to try to surge forward.
Illegal formation, offense. 5 men in the backfield. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
You can only have 4 men in the backfield. There were 5 in the backfield, so somebody wasn't lined up properly for Tim DeRuyter's team.
And the question becomes for Fresno State is, how do you close a drive?
Formation offense, only one can be enforced. It's a 5-yard penalty. Second down.
It'll be second down and goal coming up here.
And with Fresno, it's, how do you close a drive against this defense? This defense was incredibly good last year in the red zone. That's why they didn't give up many points. They only allowed touchdowns in the red zone 41% of the time. To be a good offense, you're typically scoring close to 70% of the time.
Clock continues to run. Not sure why Fresno State's not calling a timeout here. And Tim DeRuyter is asking why the clock was running. Virgil over the middle for the end zone, and in traffic, it's snared for a touchdown by Josiah Blandon. Second touchdown in as many weeks for Blandon. The clock was becoming a factor, and Virgil stayed strong and true in that pocket, delivering a strike.
The ball placement was incredible. He hangs on to that slant route by Blandon. The safety can't get over there because Blandon flattened the route just a little bit to get out of that traffic, and in the end, it's perfect for Fresno State to score with no time left in this first half.
Yeah, it actually worked out in their favor with that clock moving. Cronin will add the extra point. So some positives for Fresno State in that second quarter after they were outscored 28-0 in the first 15 minutes. Ole Miss put up a modern era program record for 28 points in that first quarter. Fresno State outscores them in the second. Olivia Harlan will have an interview coming up in a moment, but for now it's the Dave & Buster's halftime report. We send you to Chris Cotter in the studio.
O-V-E, I love it, yeah, I love it when you get that beat. Boots on, stomp your feet. It's like you've been waiting on me, like you do. When that song hits, you turn it loose.
Welcome back to Oxford, Mississippi, and ESPN College Football presented by 5 Hour Energy. Ole Miss hot off the blocks to start the day today. Quincy Adeboyjo has 3 receptions for touchdowns today, but Fresno State outscored Ole Miss in the second quarter. It's 35-14 as we get set for the start of the second half. Adam Amin, Kelly Stauffer, quite literally cut from the same cloth today. Olivia Harlan on the field.
Good choice, by the way.
Exactly. Olivia Harlan on the field as well. Chad Kelly came out today. There's still some questions, I think, going from week 1 to week 2. I don't think there's any questions anymore about who's going to be starting next week come Alabama and who's playing the best right now for Ole Miss.
Seriously, could he have played better?
Outstanding.
In the first half? The answer is no. He's been efficient in every aspect that he's being judged by Hugh Freeze. The big playability that he brings to the table is something different than the other quarterbacks bring, and the offense was different when he was pulling the trigger.
Is there something you want to see from Fresno State to start off the second half? Because we did see some positives. Tim DeRuyter put Chase and Virgil in. All of a sudden, the offense for Fresno State started to look a little sharper. What do you want to see from the Bulldogs?
Well, I think Virgil continues to play because he was hot. It's really the only time they've done anything. They still have to do what they do. They have to run the ball, but they need some big plays. And then defensively, they have to do a better job of stopping things on the early down so they can unleash their blitzkrieg on third down. And they weren't able to do that really at all in the first half.
Bulldogs get the ball to start half number 2. Could be a very critical opening drive to start this second half for Fresno State, which has lost 19 straight games to top 25 teams.
Yeah, Adam, if there's anything to keep hope alive, it's this first drive right here. This going down and getting into the end zone, or really any kind of points, Fresno State would have a much different taste in their mouth.
Damari Scott back to return, a Nathan Noble kick. Ole Miss, one of 10 ranked SEC teams this week, tuning up for Alabama, but they've got 30 minutes of solid football to try to close out. And Fresno State with a big drive to start this second half as we take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. We said it, Chad Kelly was red hot out of the gate. 4 touchdowns in that first half and a 28-0 lead for Ole Miss after 1.
He made great decisions. He took care of the football. There were essentially no negative plays whatsoever, and the tempo that he was able to use really put Fresno behind the 8 ball. They didn't have any answers for the tempo that Ole Miss was using. Fresno got a little bit going into Virgil. We'll see if they can maintain that here on this first drive in the second half.
And it is Virgil to start half number 2 from the 25-yard line. They give to Martez Waller straight up the middle. Nothing much going there on the 21st run of the day for Waller. Woodrow Hamilton was there on the stop.
And they want him to be the workhorse. 21 carries, but he only had 3 yards a pop in the first half. That dog will not hunt here in the second half. They need chunk yards against this defense. You don't drive the football typically in a methodical way to get points. You have to have some of those splash plays.
Yeah, he had a career day last week, his 9th career 100-yard rushing game, 154 yards last week. Jameer Jordan, nowhere to go. And this Ole Miss defense continues to play so well sideline to sideline. Hilton was there first, and then Marquise Haynes finished it off.
And Haynes is actually on the line of scrimmage as their speed guy off the edge.
Yeah.
And then throw a bubble screen, and I'll chase that to the sideline as well. That's how fast this defense for Ole Miss plays.
That's what we talk about, why they're so hard to play horizontally, because their ends are so athletic that they run everything down to the sideline.
You can't play tennis back and forth. You have to smash them in the mouth once in a while and see how they respond.
3rd and long. A chance to do it here. Virgil sees pressure from the safety off the edge, but will Ole Miss bring 4? They only bring 4. And Virgil has a lot of real estate to cover, and he's going to duck down near the 30-yard line, well short of the first down marker.
And that's the MO for Ole Miss. They want to control things with 4. They don't like adding a 5th when you have this defensive line. And then once the quarterback break contains, there's this wave of speed from the back end that prevents the quarterback Virgil from converting on 3rd down right there.
Athleticism means you don't have to bring 5
Absolutely
or 6. You can bring 4.
Yeah, well said. And what a benefit that a defensive coordinator, play caller has.
Davis back to return. Hasn't really had much of an opportunity today on Swanson's kicks. This time he's not even going to signal fair catch. He's going to stay on his feet, and he lost the football. Back behind the 20-yard line, and who's got it? The Bulldogs have it. So Carlos Davis, chomping at the bit to get a return, makes a crucial mistake. The officials signaled it to Fresno State. The Bulldogs believe they have the football.
These are the type of things that we said at the top had to happen for Fresno to feel like they had hope to come in here and do something other than just collect a check, which they wanted to do. And right now, Ole Miss is kind of stuttering and stammering around a little bit, giving Fresno State a little bit of hope.
Dylan Detweiler, the long snapper, was the first man there, and it's Brandon Hughes with the fumble recovery inside the 20-yard line at the 17.
I think the question here in this official review is going to be whether the returner was down before he fumbled the ball. Right there, did the returner's knee go down? It doesn't look like it did.
I don't think it did, Kelly. I swear to you, I don't think it did.
The ball comes out before contact. I think that's what they're looking at, but I agree with you, partner. There was nothing that went on the ground there except the football.
I'll tell you, that's a really acrobatic play by Davis to keep his feet, but this is a guy who's waiting and waiting to return a punt. He had a fair catch all day because Swanson has such good hang time, and now all of a sudden it forces him into a crucial mistake because he didn't fair catch it.
Yeah, and at the end of the first half, I was thinking this, that Hugh Freeze is actually in a pretty good position. The offense played incredibly well, but you still have things that were problems.
The ruling on the field is confirmed. First down, Fresno State.
So confirmed. They guaranteed you that there was no knee contact with the ground, and it certainly looked that way. Before he lost the ball, he never had his knee touch the ground. So Davis with the mistake, and Fresno State with an opportunity here inside the red zone. The Hughes fumble recovery sets up Fresno State at the 17-yard line for Virgil and Waller. Here's the read. Waller trying to hop forward, ran into Woody Hamilton. Makes a stop after a yard pickup.
We talked about this in the first half. That quarterback zone read, to be effective, your quarterback has to be a viable runner of the football. And Virgil can do that. And there was room to the edge, and it was almost like it was a pre-designed give to Waller.
22 carries already for Waller, who lines up wide. Quick throw for Virgil, and it's intercepted. C.J. Johnson with the pick. Johnson looking for real estate. And Johnson down the sideline. Waller finally runs him out at the 21-yard line. Welcome back to Oxford, C.J. Johnson.
Fresno State went to an empty set. The last time they did this, they ran a quarterback draw when actually Greenlee was in there. That particular time, C.J. Johnson stayed home, and Virgil tried to throw kind of a quick pop pass to the tight end in the middle, and Johnson hadn't got anywhere. It hit him right in the hands, and then he made a nice athletic return after that.
So now Chad Kelly will head out there for the first time in the second half for Ole Miss. And they have great field position at the 20. Kelly right back to work. That ball might have been deflected with Stringfellow, the intended target.
So what you want to see if you're Hugh Freeze out of this offense is, once again, the game of football is a lot of ebbs and flows and starts and stops, and you want consistency, at least in the efficiency department. And right now, Chad Kelly has to come out and do that again, ultra efficient and effective in half one. Come out at the start of the second half and do it all over again.
18-22 with 4 touchdown passes and a rushing touchdown today. He's accounted for all the offense. Walton, nice shift and good cut. And he works upfield close to the sticks. Man, this guy is really fun to watch when he's in the open field.
And Justin Bell, the guard, point from the right side and leading the running back to the left.
And Noel Laramie Tunsil at left tackle for Ole Miss today, as we told you at the top. Walton running behind that offensive line, behind Fawn Cooper, who's taken the spot of Tunsil at left tackle today. He runs for the first down.
Running behind that offensive line is an attitude adjustment. Get behind that SEC offensive line and get things going downhill in a hurry.
Extra tight end in this set is Hunter Thurley. This time a keep. And this time it was read well. Nice job by the end for Fresno State, making sure he keeps contained for the Bulldogs on defense. James Bailey playing that outside backer spot, defensive end rush spot. 2nd and goal. Walton trying to backpedal his way towards the goal line, and he's all the way down to the 1-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and goal for Ole Miss here.
And Walton is known as the fast guy, the speed option at the running back position, but that was a great extra effort run right down Broadway. Kept his legs going and almost got that one in.
They're going to bring in Robert Kemdici as a fullback here in front of Akeem Judd. There's Kemdici. He scored a touchdown last week. They give it to him, and Robert Kemdici's into the end zone for a touchdown. Is there anything this guy can't do?
Not when an athletic 300-pounder gets rolling downhill, whether it's on defense or running the ball here or catching the ball in the flat for 30 yards as he did last week. And Okeke missed a block or missed a tackle. I don't blame him when you're trying to tackle Kemdici.
The two teams trade turnovers to start the second half, but Robert Kemdici caps it off after C.J. Johnson and his return to the Ole Miss defense with a long interception return. Give it to the big boy, Kemdici, with the score.
ESPN, home of the college football playoff.
100th year celebrating Vaught Hemingway Stadium, and we welcome you back to the SEC on ESPN. Teams traded turnovers to start the half. Robert Kemdici with a rushing touchdown, the first of his career. Ole Miss leading 42-14. Adam Amin, Kelly Stauffer, Olivia Harlan, a great crew in Oxford. And out to the 25 comes Fresno State. So back-to-back weeks, they've used Robert Kemdici on the offensive side of the ball.
6'4", almost 300 pounds, runs the flat route, and hey, I caught it. I'm just going to turn it upfield and outrun everybody to the end zone, and now it's just about power. Try to tackle that going downhill, and Okeke, number 56, could not do that. Way too high for tackling a 300-pounder, but Ole Miss has some stuff on the defensive side for Robert Kemdici as well. They're going to move him around and try to get more out of that immense talent. You'll see him inside sometimes. You'll see him as a kind of a 5 technique defensive end at times. What a tremendous weapon.
His first career rushing touchdown and his 6th career carry. Malik Meisenheimer gets the carry. He did not play last week. He was banged up in practice before the season opener, but the redshirt senior back into the lineup here. He gets stopped by DJ Jones.
The kind of a theme from last season, when Ole Miss needed build out, the defense was typically there to do it. And when the offense would have some kind of a mishap, and you saw it on that play, C.J. Johnson making a really, really nice interception return.
Four-man twist gets picked up. Virgil just airmails that throw, looking for Olsen. Very good tight end target, but it's 3rd down and 10. Trey Elston, who had a pick 6 last week, the senior, playing free safety this year, taking over for Cody Pruitt. They lost some guys on that defense, a really good defense. Shackelford's gone, Pruitt's gone.
Great leadership, though. You named one, Elston, but Mike Hilton, we saw have a sack earlier today. Those two guys are leaders in the middle, so they communicate, and they can handle a lot of that mental load that this defense has on the back end.
Well, they don't have Sunquest Golson, who had 10 interceptions last year either. Virgil picked off right on cue. It is Elston, his 3rd career interception. And Elston sliding down the sideline for his 2nd career touchdown in as many weeks.
Adam, this really is a formula for Ole Miss to be in the mix in the SEC West. The quarterback pressure was by Speaks that particular time. You get pressure up the middle, you force a bad throw, and then you have guys on the back end that can make big plays. If they get good quarterback play, which they have today out of Chad Kelly, this is a team that will be in the mix in the end.
Trey Elston in his 39th career game. You can say that about a lot of guys on the back end. There's an experienced secondary out there, experienced D for Ole Miss, and it's back-to-back weeks with a pick 6 for Elston, all Ole Miss in quarter 3.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Chick-fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich. And Volkswagen. Isn't it time for German engineering?
150 feet long, thermal, hot air going through it, not helium. That is Bulldog 1. It is the Fresno State blimp. Fresno State has a blimp.
They didn't make this trip, though, right? That's not flying above us currently.
No, not this week. But I think there's some away games during Mountain West play. I think that blimp will be there. I think Bulldog 1 will make an appearance. How awesome is that? All Ole Miss here. Jordan will bring it out from 5 yards deep. And Jordan brought down shy of the 15-yard line. Say hello to Chris Cotter in the studio once more.
It's happening here in the SEC West.
How about that?
Auburn barely escaped, and Arkansas's not sounding like themselves.
Yeah, Alabama is actually in control finally at the end of the first half against Middle Tennessee State. That'll be the opponent for Ole Miss next week on the road at Bryant-Denny. Chasen Virgil still in at quarterback. Malik Meisenheimer will get the carry and stumble to the 16-yard line. The SEC West specifically is an interesting conference because you're going to see multiple offenses as you go. Now, are all of these flexible offenses? Yeah, certainly Alabama can go spread or run it heavy, but that's kind of the expectation more often than not that what you're going to see this year.
And those bottom 3 teams can smash you in the mouth, and Alabama will try to do it against this defensive front a week from now, and that's exactly what Ole Miss has to prove they can hold up under.
No gain there. C.J. Johnson makes the stop. It'll be an interesting matchup, and then you go further down the schedule. You play in Arkansas, and you got to go up against Alex Collins and that big offensive line of Arkansas, and then you have to be able to spread it out. And the reason I think Ole Miss is so successful last year on defense, because they have the athletes who can play all these different
Great point.
offenses.
Absolutely. They can transition easily from week to week with the up-tempo and the different schemes that they're going to face.
Again, it's 3rd down and long. They're rushing 4 because they can rush 4. Nice job, though, by Virgil to find Olsen for a first down. That's a difficult thing to do when there are 7 guys that are all athletic back in coverage to find a window, and Virgil was able to do it to Olsen.
And that's a good way, if you're watching at home, to judge how effective your defense is. If they rush 4, and they're controlling things. Obviously, that's a great thing, but when they start adding from the back end, add a fifth, add a sixth, then you're getting into trouble. The offense is being much more effective.
5 wide here for Fresno State. Short out route, and that's going to be a penalty marker coming. T. Shepard is going to get flagged there. Keon Williams was the intended target.
This could very well, Adam, be targeted.
Yeah, if it's forcible contact to the head or neck area, that's probably going to be an ejection.
And remember, that means the first half
of the next game.
Week, which, oh, by the way, happens to be Alabama.
Personal foul. Number 2, defense, targeting. Contact in the head and neck area of the defenseless receiver. 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
Now they will automatically review that play.
Yep.
So they don't announce the ejection now this year until they've confirmed that it is a targeting call. So there is an opportunity here that Shepard will not get called. But based on that, forcible contact to the head or neck area, that looks like a targeting call.
I think it will be confirmed because there is forcible contact in the head and neck area. Remember, a lot of times people get confused with the old helmet-to-helmet thought.
Right.
That doesn't have to be it at all. It can be with the crown of the helmet as well, which is its own category of targeting. But this is forcible contact above the head and neck, and that's our head and shoulders, and that's exactly what we see. And it's a defenseless receiver. There are 9 different categories of what defenseless is. Receiver catching the ball is one of them, and that clearly was contact above the shoulders.
Yeah, here it is.
The 15-yard penalty enforced, and number 2 is disqualified for the remainder of the game.
So Shepard has been disqualified. These are the axioms for targeting: defenseless opponent, contact to head or neck, hit by the crown of the helmet. In any situation, you cannot lead with the crown of your helmet. And of course, you can overturn the initial ruling if replay determines that there was no forcible contact. Clear-cut call there for T. Shepard. So he's going to be ejected, and he's going to miss the first half of the next game.
Miss the first half of Alabama, no doubt about it. And the crown of the helmet, if it was that category, you can be an offender of that anywhere. As long as you drop your crown of your helmet and hit the opponent anywhere, it's targeting. So, yeah, that was very well done by the officials on the field.
And hopefully Keon Williams, the redshirt freshman who made his collegiate debut last week, is okay. He seems shaken up on the sideline. This is a give to Dustin Garrison, who makes a very good cut north and south. And Garrison, who ran it 10 times last week and was out for the first half of this week because he got into a bit of a fracas last week. He gets the carry, and again, Williams is a major concern right now. The redshirt freshman out of New Orleans, the son of Heath Williams, who's now the wide receivers coach at Nebraska. I really hope he's all right. They're going to test him out, go through concussion protocol undoubtedly. Garrison again. And he gets stacked up right at midfield, was able to keep his feet to get him another yard or so.
With the football.
Chief Brown on the stop, and now a penalty marker is thrown on that play.
The play is over. Personal foul. Number 20, contact the runner after he's down. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
So Christian Russell, the middle linebacker, is going to get called for that penalty, and this is the last thing you want to see. Things getting sloppy and maybe even dangerous at this point.
Hugh Freeze didn't like the effort of the defense in the first half. He made that known, and they come out and save his team from that, that turnover, the punt fumble, and then C.J. Johnson returns it. But that's just undisciplined, and Hugh Freeze will have none of that.
So 1st and 10 at the 35. Virgil to throw. Goes underneath and across to Chad Olson. Good open field tackle made by Chief Brown. Redshirt senior who's in for C.J. Hampton. Hampton is missing his 2nd straight game for violation of team rules for Ole Miss.
And that's the 2nd time we've seen the tight end Chad Olson, that time coming on a crossing route, getting underneath that coverage on the back end for Ole Miss. Don't like their matchups down the field vertically.
Read play, Garrison seeking space, and he'll set up a 3rd down and short here after a gain of 2.
Adam, I wonder where Waller has gone. We haven't really seen much of him recently. We saw Garrison and Eason Meisenheimer, and
I just
I'm
wonder
not sure if he got tweaked or what the deal is.
I wonder if maybe the 22 carries is playing a little bit of a toll as well. There's Garrison getting that carry, and he gets stuffed. Fidel Brown, a tackle for loss. Stymies the drive for Fresno State. It'll be 4th down. Let's see if the offense stays out there.
I think the answer is going to be absolutely, you bet. And there was some misdirection. There were some pullers. A guard pulled and a tight end pulled to the left, but the play was designed to be a quarterback read the other direction. If the quarterback kept it, he would have followed his offensive lineman to the left.
Ended up kind of leaving Justin Northern on an island by himself there. Watch out, here's pressure from Ole Miss. Fresno State actually picked it up well. There were some one-on-ones downfield, but that pass too tall for Jameer Jordan. First down rather for Ole Miss.
And the problem hasn't been pass protection necessarily. It's been the matchup on the back end. It's just been too few and far between for Fresno State to find some guys that are open.
Ole Miss leading by 5 touchdowns, has the ball when you come back.
To Adam Kelly and Olivia in Knoxville.
All Ole Miss here. Chad Kelly staying in the game and going right back to work. Little comeback route, and it's complete. And right away into Fresno State territory goes DeMaurier Stringfellow. Chad Kelly picking up right where he left off. And he's staying out there and throwing darts.
Boy, does he have a group to throw to. That was Stringfellow getting involved, but we've heard a lot of names at that wide receiver position today.
Chad Kelly, outstanding work, 19 to 24, almost 330 yards. He's well over that now. Another strike to Stringfellow. And it takes Ellis to drag him down to the 28-yard line.
And Ellis was over top of Stringfellow early, and he needs to get a jam on him so his safety can get over the top. He let Stringfellow down into that fade area way too easily, and his safety couldn't help him out.
Right up the middle, it's Akeem Judd. And Akeem Judd explodes into the end zone for his first career touchdown. Back-to-back 50-plus spots for Ole Miss to start the 2015 season. Junior out of Durham, North Carolina, the JUCO prospect, top JUCO running back prospect, coming out of Georgia Military College, went to the JUCO national title game against Chad Kelly. Now he steps up, steps in, and has his first Ole Miss touchdown. 56 to 14. Another quick strike for the Rebels. Man, they're looking good with Alabama looming.
I'm going back to my roots. Another day, another door, another high.
Back in Oxford, Mississippi, and we'll take you all the way to East Lansing tonight. Saturday Night Football presented by Wells Fargo. 7th-ranked Oregon, 5th-ranked Michigan State. One of the crucial early season matchups as we work towards New Year's Eve in the college football playoff. Vernon Adams dealing with a slight finger issue on his throwing hand, but he's expected to be all right. Reese Davis said on game day today that he should be ready to go tonight. First time in 46 games that Oregon's the underdog. First time under Helfrich, as a matter of fact, too.
And Michigan State is going to get after Adams and make him prove it.
Yeah.
Last week meant nothing. Can you do it on the road against a team that has a chance to be one of the Final Four teams?
And a team that has traditionally been known to be a physical defense, and two explosive offenses going at it tonight on Saturday Night Football at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Let's check in with Olivia Harlan.
Guys, Keon Williams on that last drive got drilled and came over to the sideline surrounded by 4 trainers holding his head. He is out for the rest of the day. I talked to a trainer and they said they just need to get him out of the light and the sound and go through concussion protocol in the locker room.
Yeah, Olivia, there was a very tough hit from T. Shepard on that targeting call. Of course, Shepard was ejected from the game. Williams, a redshirt freshman, is out for the rest of the day. Thanks for that report, Olivia. Martez Waller's back in now for Fresno State.
Remember, T. Shepard will miss the first half of Alabama next week. That's probably the most significant part of him being ejected.
Yeah, he's a cog in the depth of that back end of the defense there. Waller back in the game after getting a series off. And he picks up 9 yards on that run. It'll be 2nd down and 1 coming up here.
We wondered.
Go ahead.
Excuse me about that. We wondered about Waller. You know, he didn't make an appearance really in that last drive.
And they go right back to him, and he's got the first down. And Martez Waller into the open field, and McDowell got him by the ankles and dragged him down.
Right tackle Justin Northern had a really good block, and the offensive line movement once again. And Waller, I think you're right, setting the last series, and he has somewhat fresher legs this drive.
He's carried the ball 23 times today. Go right back to Waller. And it's pushed down by Breland Speaks, playing that defensive tackle spot. Isaac Gross is out for the rest of the year for Ole Miss, part of that front four. He's unfortunately dealing with a neck injury. He's going to need some surgery, so they do lose a little bit on that front line. Gross is a really good first step guy, and then all of a sudden you get a redshirt freshman who's highly touted, and he steps right in. That's the depth of this defense.
Yes. Speaks has played well today. DJ Jones also provides some depth inside for this defense.
A career-high 26th carry for Waller, and not much room on the edge as Kalo Moore, the cornerback, former running back in his own right, now sliding over to DB, makes the stop.
Yeah, Adam, what you see so often with Ole Miss, that defensive front is really kind of a read front. They're not a big penetrating type of team, other than Kimdichie, by the way, but what they do is they spill things to the outside, and then that swarm of speed from the back end catches up with everything laterally. That's a really, really smart way to play defense with this personnel.
Second unit, maybe even third unit, if you want to call it that, are in there. Virgil finds Waller, and Waller trying to foot race to the end zone, and he gets dragged down by Cedric Woods, the freshman, after a 35-yard catch and run. Waller doing good things, and he sets him up inside the 10.
And chase him, Virgil doing good things as well. Climbs in the pocket and finds Waller exactly when he needed him.
Virgil has a one-on-one matchup, back shoulder throw to the outside for Keyshawn Johnson, and he's unable to squeeze that in with Tony Bridges in coverage for Ole Miss.
And pretty good coverage by Bridges. And what you want to do on that back shoulder is, once the inside shoulder starts to turn, that's your key. And then you want to get in his mustache as best you can and then rake for the football. That's pretty good by Tony Bridges right there.
Another junior college transfer. Waller stacked up right at the line of scrimmage. Good play by Russell. And that'll bring up third down and goal now.
That's the problem with so many teams against Ole Miss, Adam, is what do you do when you get in the red zone? They just simply don't allow people to get in the end zone all that often.
Now, you said it earlier today. What, 41% touchdown rate against Ole Miss last year in the red zone?
That's championship-esque right there.
Absolutely. Empty set, third and goal. Four-man twist up front. Good protection for Virgil. And a flag is going to be thrown as Jameer Jordan tried to lunge towards the goal line. He got held up by Russell grabbing the jersey, and that should be a fresh set of downs.
Pass interference. Number 20 defense. Foul occurred in the end zone. The ball will be placed at the 2-yard line.
And Jordan was that inside receiver and is actually going to run.
The ball will be placed at the 4-yard line. It's automatic first down.
Actually going to run like a double move right there. He's the first receiver in, number 2, and Christian Russell, 20, knew he was beat. That was a touchdown, and that probably wasn't a bad penalty.
No, it's a fresh set of downs now. There's probably 4 more chances to get to the end zone for Fresno State. Run play running left, and Channing Ward with a great stop along the edge against Waller. It's a loss of 3. Ward, another experienced guy who's a backup basically. He's a second guy on the depth chart at that defensive end spot, but he's played 41 games.
And the speed from the back end once again. You know, that was a counter play going to the left, and it takes time to develop. You don't have that much time against Ole Miss defensive front. They will chase from the back end like a bunch of racehorses like Ward did on that play. It's just not effective very often against this front.
Waller's in the slot to the left here for Virgil in an empty set. He's got the bubble for Waller right there. He'll walk in, touchdown. Martez Waller with his first career reception for a touchdown.
Great play call. Waller is typically involved in pass protection. So what you do is you free release him. Ole Miss is expecting him to be blocking somebody. They turn his guy free, and nobody is responsible for him out flat. You see number 31, Gates, on the blitz from that kind of hybrid linebacker position. and nobody has Waller out in the flat.
Yeah, somebody's got to recognize that Waller's out there.
Typically, the defensive end is supposed to peel.
So Cronin adds the extra point. Fresno State with its third touchdown of the day, second on offense. And with a minute to go in the third, we check into the studios with Chris Cotter.
Let's get you up to date on what's happening in Tuscaloosa. Middle Tennessee State in town. And here's Derrick Henry with his second touchdown of the day. It's been mostly Jake Coker, though. 214 yards passing, a touchdown, and a pick. It's all Alabama right now at the half, 23-3 on the SEC. Now we're coming up here on ESPN2. Florida Gators in the swamp, getting set to take on East Carolina. They'll kick in just about an hour's time. Adam?
I'm excited about that East Carolina-Florida rematch from the bowl game. A really exciting bowl game last year, and it's going to be Will Greer making his first career start against his dad's alma mater, East Carolina. Going back to the SEC preview this year, again, this week, 10 teams on the top 25. That's a record. And then that's what's looming. Alabama next week for Ole Miss.
And Alabama was picked to win the West, but Auburn, by the media, was picked to win the SEC championship. How does that work?
It's the SEC media poll, and understandably, that is certainly an anomaly.
And by the way, I picked Auburn to be one of my Final Four teams. I don't like my pick at all right now because Jeremy Johnson just does not look right at the quarterback position. 2 weeks in a row, he has laid an egg on that offense, and they got to get it fixed, obviously.
Ole Miss will play Florida, by the way, too. They'll play in Gainesville. That's one of their crossover games. So they'll get a look at the Gators this year as Walton returns it across the 20-yard line. Last year, of course, one of the biggest wins in Ole Miss history since the Vaught era, the massive defeat of the number 3 ranked team here at Vaught Hemingway. They ripped the goalpost down, and Jalen Walton, who just returned that kick, had the game-winning touchdown. You'll see it on ESPN, 9:15 Eastern time from Bryant-Denny next week. Massive game in the SEC West.
And you see right there, Bo Wallace played well in that game also. He wasn't, not a high completion percentage, but 3 big plays, 3 touchdowns. That's the kind of night that Chad Kelly's going to have. He's going to have to be efficient, take care of the football, have some explosives somewhere along the way.
Jordan Wilkins running left with Devontae Kincaid back in at quarterback. Good run here from Wilkins. He'll take it across the 30-yard line, and a little bit of contact after the play, but it doesn't look like a flag is going to be thrown.
And Kincaid back in once again, and I think this is where the quarterback competition was headed anyway. I think the gut feel by Hugh Freeze was Chad Kelly gives us more big play potential on the upside, and then give Kincaid a package. I think that's why he's getting the reps right here.
Running with Wilkins again, and a good vertical north and south cut. He gets the first down across the 35-yard line. This is an impressive offensive performance by Ole Miss. As a matter of fact, we went racing through the record books to try to find it. Apparently, it is the first time in Ole Miss modern football history that they've gone back-to-back games and scored 50-plus points. Incredible. Thrown out to Derek Jones, and he's wrestled out at the 40-yard line. Chad Kelly at the forefront of it today.
Impressive.
20 of 25, 346, 4 touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown as well. And he's led Ole Miss's charge in the first 2 weeks of the season, and I don't think there's any doubt that that's going to be the guy taking the first offensive snap at Bryant-Denny next Saturday night for Ole Miss. Robert Candici, back-to-back weeks, he scores a touchdown, his first career rushing touchdown. The pick by Elston, the pick 6, all Ole Miss today. Rebel fans are really happy, I think, right now. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. Back to normal activity in the Grove now, I think. This is what they do well, among other things, but this is one of the popular spots that you got to visit if you're a college football fan. It's a great place to come. Fresno State getting all Ole Miss can offer today is Laquan Treadwell. Trying to reach too tall for that one from Devontae Kincaid. Now, this is an Ole Miss team that goes into next week on the road at Alabama. They do play crossover games against Vandy in Florida. But then you get right into that meat part. Texas A&M on the road at Auburn. LSU on the road at Mississippi State. And you're looking at an entire division right now that, again, it's week 2. Early season polls don't really mean that much. But those are all ranked teams.
Yeah, and Chad Kelly is going to get baptized for real next week, right?
No doubt. First
going into
start.
Tuscaloosa, no doubt about it. I mean, that's when the championship run begins in earnest.
Four-man rush. Kincaid with a big hole and a first down and more. And Devontae Kincaid showing the athleticism as he works inside the 20. Kelly finally brings him down. 43-yard run for Devontae Kincaid.
So Chad Kelly plays efficiently, and then you bring in the kind of the change of pace type guy. And Kincaid doesn't want to be called that. He doesn't want to be a package quarterback. He wants to be the guy. But I think for now, Kincaid is the change-up guy, and that's what it looks like right there.
On the back shoulder. That time looking for Jones. Kelly there on the coverage, and Thula Kelly, but there is a penalty marker thrown. So Kincaid, after the longest run of his career of 43 yards, trying to find a receiver on the short side of the field.
Kelly was on the coverage, and it was a back shoulder throw once again, and the corner gets himself in trouble so often when they don't find the football.
Foul by each team during the play. Pass interference, number 6 of the defense. Ineligible downfield, number 64 of the offense. These fouls offset, first down.
And Ben Still got called for the Ole Miss penalty there. You see those black wristbands, by the way, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention it. John McDade, who's worked the BCS National Championship in his career, is wearing a black wristband, as are all the other officials in SEC games. They're actually honoring the memory of Jim Allison, who worked 18 years as an SEC replay official. He passed away this week. So his colleagues and his brethren among officials are actually honoring his memory today with those black wristbands. We got a chance to talk with the replay official today, Robert Rougeau, who's a great guy. He came in and said Jim Allison was actually one of the first guys when TV started to have some influence and started to add replay to just about every game that we're lucky enough to watch now and have the luxury of it just about every game. Jim Allison was one of the first guys in the booth to handle replay duties, and his friends and brothers are honoring his memory this week as he passed away this past week. The black wristbands signify that. Second down and 10 for Ole Miss. Blitz coming for Fresno State. Kincaid with that clock running down. Can't get away. Good effort here by Claudel Lewis to close out what's an 8-yard loss.
Some pretty good things happened on that play by Ole Miss. They picked up the blitz initially. Their mobile quarterback did buy a little time, but it was a little bit too late. I think he needed to get out of the pocket just a little bit sooner or get the ball out. And those are the things that keep Kincaid from really competing for that quarterback position right now. His mobility is great, but his understanding of the passing game still has to develop.
Both Wilkins and Judd are in the game on 3rd down and 18 here. We'll let Kincaid try to fire, but pocket collapses on him, so he uses those legs and that mobility to take off. He gets dragged down by Jamal Ellis after a 5-yard run. I think the other question too, Kelly, that's looming is Laramie Tunsil for next week, because maybe the best left tackle in college football is still out riding those in NCAA investigation right now. They kept him out pretty much as a precautionary measure last week. Hugh Freeze is really frustrated. So is everybody at Ole Miss.
And he should be.
Waiting for the NCAA to bring down a ruling here. It's a big game next week against Alabama. They may or may not have Laramie Tunsil in a week. He's on the sidelines as he watches Wunderlich hit a 37-yard field goal. All Ole Miss, 59-21.
Chris Cotter back in Bristol, updating you on the game going on over on ABC. Notre Dame and Virginia, and ND might be winning the game, but they just lost their quarterback, Malik Zaire. But they're calling an ankle injury. He was carted off after this play. Not expected to return. Deshaun Kaiser now at quarterback for ND. They've got a 5-point lead over Virginia on ABC. Back out to Oxford.
Wow, Chris, that is some major, major news and a potentially big hit for Notre Dame if Zaire can't go.
Huge injuries to start the season.
For a lot of
over the
teams.
landscape, it seems like.
Taysom Hill stuck out certainly for BYU last week after that win against Nebraska. There's Scott, and he's chopped down shy of the 20-yard line as we take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. All Ole Miss in the first quarter. They led 28-0. They had a 35-14 lead at the halftime break. And Chad Kelly, when he's been in, Ole Miss has looked good.
Yeah, I don't know how he really could have done anything else. There were very few decisions in the pass game. When he had a guy open, he hit him. Waller walks in off that free release right there. So Fresno State has had some things here and there. And Kimdichie, I mean, come on now. 300 getting downhill in a hurry. But I think Hugh Freeze is tickled about the play of Chad Kelly. We haven't seen as much Waller as we would have liked today. But all in all, Chad Kelly has been amazing.
Meisenheimer with the pulling block from Jacob Vasquez, spins forward for 5 yards. Meisenheimer only played 3 games last season before a shoulder injury against Nebraska ended up ending his season, but he's been a warrior for Tim DeRuyter, and he's gone through a couple of head coaches since he's been at Fresno State, including Pat Hill. That's the guy that Tim DeRuyter replaced at Fresno State. Pat Hill is here today. He's actually working Fresno State radio this year, and he's done some work for ESPN in the past as well.
You still have that handlebar mustache? Did you see him today?
I don't know if it's handlebar-esque. I think he might have trimmed it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Jason Virgil on the move and a penalty marker throw. Ball may have come loose at the end of that play, and it did. Well, Virgil ended up losing the football, and Ole Miss has another takeaway according to the officials.
And there is a flag on the play, but I think it's going to be holding out on the point of attack. I think this ball is going to go over to Ole Miss.
A.J. Moore came out with it.
The ball was fumbled by the runner, recovered by the defense. There was a foul by the offense during the play. Personal foul, chop block, number 79 and 78. The penalties declined. First down, Mississippi.
You know, and that's a second chop block we've seen today. And what happens, especially when you're moving offensive linemen, 2 of them engage with the defender at the same time. One high, one low, you can't do that, and that's the second time it's been called. But the ball carrier didn't hang on to it in the end after all.
Remember last year, Ole Miss led the SEC and were top 10 of the country in takeaways. And they've come up with a handful of takeaways today as well.
They defend the red zone and they take the ball away. That's what they do. I mean, that's what great championship-type defenses do. Defend the red zone, take the ball back for your offense.
So Ryan Buchanan, who did throw an interception earlier today, will get another crack at it to try to manage this offense. And Akeem Judd, who's got his first career touchdown today, takes it to the 25-yard line. So Buchanan, redshirt sophomore out of Jackson, Mississippi. Worked out with George Whitfield, our colleague, in the offseason. George Whitfield, known as one of the quarterback gurus, tried to improve on Buchanan's mechanics. He's really got a great grasp of the offense, Hugh Freeze tells us. And he probably handles the blitz better than the other 2 quarterbacks. But the big play ability is so important in the conference that Ole Miss plays in. You have to have big yardage plays at various times in a game, and the upside with Kelly just seems better.
I think that's it in a nutshell. Hugh Freeze likes a lot of splash plays. He realizes that in the SEC, you can't make a living by driving the football against these defenses.
How often in the SEC do you see 15-play, 75
Rarely.
yards, 80-yard drive wearing down an opposing defense? It just doesn't happen.
Well, even with Arkansas as an example, who, I mean, they have a massive offensive line. They run it downhill. Toledo's given them all they can handle currently, but they don't even drive the football like that. They went and got Dan Enos away from Central Michigan to get the vertical pass game
Exactly.
going. For what reason? To get splash plays. Exactly what you need to drive the football and score points in this division, in this conference.
They're down in 1. Buchanan, quick swing out to the outside for Trey Bledsoe, and Bledsoe powering his way to the 10-yard line for first down. 6'1", 213-pound sophomore. Now you're seeing some of the back-end guys on the depth chart getting a chance to play here.
And Ryan Buchanan is a very heady player, and he's a very accurate passer. And if you can fault a guy for playing within the scheme too much, Bo Wallace was the other end of the spectrum. You know, he was a wild hair.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He was freelancing till the cows came home, and you want to reel that in a little bit if you're Hugh Freeze. And Chad Kelly's probably that guy. Maybe more arm talent, maybe a better athlete, but he will stick to the script as much as he can. And Buchanan's somewhere in between there. He had great backup, but he doesn't really have the big play ability that Kelly does to be the everyday guy.
Ole Miss will stay in the rankings, number 17 this week. It's their 19th consecutive week as a ranked team. It's their longest streak since the Johnny Vaught era, when at one point they were ranked for 69 straight weeks. By the way, the 69 straight weeks currently is Alabama's streak in the rankings. Judd tackled by Christophers, and it's 3rd down and goal coming up here for Ole Miss.
You know, Adam, to me, obviously Ole Miss wanted an answer at the quarterback position. I think Hugh Freeze was much further along in that department than most people thought. But Laramie Tunsil is now the question that's front and center.
Yeah.
The best, I think, left tackle in all of college football. And when he's not playing, there's a ripple effect all across the offensive line that you cannot afford. When you take your right tackle, Fawn Cooper, and he goes over and starts at left tackle, and a redshirt freshman, Rawlings, moves up to right tackle. That isn't the way you win championships. They need Laramie Tunsil at the left tackle position.
This is Eugene Brasley sprinting into the end zone, and Brasley has a touchdown. The sophomore out of New Orleans puts Ole Miss over 60 for a 2nd straight week. Back-to-back weeks with 60 points plus for Ole Miss for the first time ever.
We're surely not going to find that in a record book,
no,
right? I mean,
we've done the digging. Scotty Lightman, our fantastic statistician, Bill Garrity in the booth as well. They've done their due diligence. And a 66-21 lead for Ole Miss. Everybody getting in on the action today for Ole Miss. Nice drive led by Buchanan that time as well. And the Rebels score again.
ESPN College Football is presented by 5 Hour Energy and in part by the first ever 306 horsepower RC Coupe from Lexus.
The best catfish I've ever had in my life has always been in the state of Mississippi. There's a couple spots down in the Delta you got to go to, and if you're in Oxford, got to go to Taylor Grocery. Damari Scott unable to handle it. Let's get an update from Chris Cotter in the studio.
That's back.
So a couple of inexperienced quarterbacks in that matchup. Of course, Will Greer making his first career start for Florida. Ford Childress, the transfer from West Virginia, is into the game for Fresno State at quarterback, and he gives to Dustin Garrison. Penalty markers fly. I am curious, by the way, because Notre Dame plays at home next week against Georgia Tech.
Number 89 offense, 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
How's that going to work if Malik Zaire can't go? Georgia Tech put up, 65 points today against Tulane?
I would pick Georgia Tech in that game regardless of who's playing a quarterback for Notre Dame.
Sure.
I mean, Georgia Tech is a snootful when they're running that option, and they're clicking on all cylinders already early in the year. They're starting this year like they finished last season.
So you saw Childress. They've got a small set of plays in for the Houston native as well. Started a couple of games a couple of years ago at West Virginia, played in JUCO last year. He's getting his opportunity for the first time in a Fresno State uniform. McDowell tackles Garrison. It'll bring up 2nd down and long.
Childress was a late add to the program and transferring in from West Virginia, and so he simply doesn't know the offense well enough to really do much of anything. There's a package of plays, like you said, and it's a very short list. And so when he comes in the game, they just stick to what he knows, and they kind of go from there.
I think a lot of people remember his dad, Ray. He was a 3rd overall pick out of Texas A&M back in the 80s. He ended up being a 5-time Pro Bowl defensive lineman for the Oilers and Cowboys, College Football Hall of Famer. Really good pedigree for Ford Childress. He's got a pretty good arm, but that gets off the hands of his receiver, and Chief Brown hauls it in for his 3rd career interception, and it's the 2nd pick 6 of the day for Ole Miss. For the first time ever, they put up 70 points in back-to-back games.
And a well-thrown ball, and Justin Johnson, number 81, just couldn't corral it, and it bounces up in the air. Chief Brown, that advantageous back end for Ole Miss. They take advantage of a front four that controls everything up front, and they're fast and active. They're reading quarterbacks, and they're breaking on the ball, and they're finishing plays.
This is Andy Papanastis on for the extra point. He got a couple of chances last week against UT Martin. And they have now scored 149 points in the first 2 games of the 2015 campaign. Incredible. Yeah, not a bad strike from Childress. He's got a nice zip on that ball. Good job by this Ole Miss defense, though, and Brown takes it to the house. I love that music. That means we're just a couple of nights away from Monday Night Football. Great doubleheader coming up. Chip Kelly and the Eagles taking on the new head coach of the Falcons, Dan Quinn. Vikings bring Adrian Peterson back. They take on the 49ers. Starts with Monday Night Countdown at 5 Eastern. Served up by Applebee's. Boomer and the crew, the gang's all ready to go for Monday night. Damari Scott on the return, and he works his way across the 20-yard line for Fresno State. All right, you ready for this, Cal? It's all coming at you. Every score that Ole Miss has put together today, we've got to speed it up because there's so many points on the board.
I don't know that that's fast enough. They're going to get off a play before we get all this in.
Man, this is how impressive the offense has been, and they've done it in so many ways with so many different players.
I think I'm going to get car sick.
I feel like we're doing, this is all time lapse now at this point. This is how many points they've scored. A couple of pick sixes today, the latest from Chief Brown.
Well, the defense for Ole Miss is in a tie with Fresno State offensively, right?
Yeah.
2 touchdowns apiece.
Yeah, 2 offensive touchdowns, Fresno State, 2 defensive scores for Ole Miss. There's Dustin Garrison on the run. The last time that Ole Miss won 10 games, you got to go back to 2003. That was David Cutcliffe when he was the head coach of this team. They scored an Ole Miss record that year. They scored 442 points that season. So far in the first 2 games this year, 149 already on the board.
I think Alabama's front 7 is going to be a little bit different next week than what they've seen so far.
A little bit. Garrison again with Childress still in the game at quarterback. Garrison runs for the first down.
I'm still not in love with what's happening at the corner position for Alabama. So there will be some opportunities against Ole Miss.
Is that the matchup that you think that's probably most important next week?
Look at the receivers that Ole Miss throws out there. 6'2", 6'2", 6'2", 6'3", 6'3".
Yeah.
And big-bodied guys that can go get those 50-50 balls. How is Alabama going to be on the back end? I think that's a matchup to watch.
Garrison on first down, and we head to Chris Cotter in the studios. Another update.
Okay, Adam, Ohio State started off slowly, starting to pick things up a little bit here. Zeke Elliott, this is his 3rd rushing touchdown of the game. He has gone over 100 yards, and it's 31-0 now. Buckeyes over the Rainbows in the shoe.
That game's not over just yet. A lot of people have some interest in the final 7-8
what
minutes of that game.
What are you trying to say?
Not really sure exactly. There's Garrison again. He slipped down that time, so he ends up landing just past the line of scrimmage.
And what Ole Miss does offensively with their tempo, remember who was complaining about that a couple of years ago? It was Nick Saban. He doesn't like it at all. Just, his quote was, is this what we want our football to look like going forward? Well, it was Ole Miss, and they beat Ole Miss by, I think, 14 or 17 points that game. But Ole Miss brings a tempo that forces you to communicate on the back end. And I think that's the soft underbelly of Alabama defensively anyway.
Childress threw behind a receiver that wasn't looking for it. It was Kyle Rittering, the redshirt freshman out of California, unable to haul that in. It's 4th down. Big night on ESPN. Of course, here on ESPN2, we'll have East Carolina and Florida from the Swamp. And then on ESPN, great doubleheader coming up tonight. So Oklahoma, Tennessee, LSU, Mississippi State. I'm really curious. Obviously, we were there in Baton Rouge when the weather played a factor, so LSU couldn't get that game in last week. I'm curious to see how the SEC West shapes out with those 2 teams and what is another critical kind of game in the early part of the season. Those are 2 teams that Ole Miss is going to have a chance to face them later on in the season. 4 to play in the 4th. We'll talk a little bit more about the rest of the slate. We'll preview some things for you. Stick around. We'll get you ready for the rest of the night.
Wallace fakes, going to throw. Back shoulder cramp. Treadwell breaks 2 tackles. He steps in the end zone. Bo looking to throw. Throws the end zone. Walton. He's got it. The Rebels have a touchdown. This will be huge. Ole Miss will have the football. Ole Miss has knocked off Alabama.
I want to deliver a winner to the state of Mississippi, man. I'm proud as heck of our kids.
One of the signature moments of Ole Miss's outstanding 2014 campaign, the rematch next week on the road in Tuscaloosa as Brasley gets the carry for the Rebels. They've dominated, especially here in the second half. And I think there's a very proud and I would imagine very nervous man sitting in the studios right now. This is Drew Davis, transfer from North Carolina, spent some time at JUCO in 2013. Did not see any time with Ole Miss last year, but this is the son of our colleague Butch Davis.
That's awesome.
I remember, I can't imagine what he's going through right now. Probably run into a monitor, somebody going, Butch, you better get to a TV.
Yeah. Coach, sit down and relax and enjoy it. Your son has been there before. He'll be just fine.
Second down 6. He's trying to manage this offense. And Eugene Brasley, who's got a touchdown in this game, brings up third down and short as Kyrian Obidiegu is there to make the stop. I didn't have to say that. I just wanted to say Obidiegu.
You executed that quite well.
Coffeyville College after North Carolina, who's a walk-on at UNC. Of course, Butch, former head coach at North Carolina as well as Miami, and spent some time in the NFL as well.
Hey, that Jayhawk league down, JUCO league down in Kansas is tough. I played Garden City, Kansas, same conference. A lot of times the national championship is won in that conference.
And a lot of times you see a lot of Division I transfers come from those types of places. Brasley will get stopped. He lost the football. It was loose right near the 20-yard line. Justin Green was in on the tackle. And it will be Fresno State football as they'll take over at the 20-yard line. Let's check in with Chris Cotter in the studio.
Right, Adam, some teams have escaped today. Others still trying to get that escape. One of them is Arkansas over on the SEC Network. This is Damian Jones-Moore. Takes it in from 11 yards out. Toledo continues to lead Arkansas. It's now 16-7 in the fourth quarter.
One of the youngest head coaches in the country, Matt Campbell's Rockets, doing work on the road in Fayetteville.
And they are very well coached. I've had them in the past, and as you have, and they are very well coached. But I'm wondering where that downhill running game is from Arkansas. Usually that's where those MAC teams suffer, is getting against an SEC team that can get those heavy linemen on.
Ford Childress gives to Malik Meisenheimer, who works to the 16-yard line or so. 2:20 to play here in the fourth.
Well, next week, Adam, how do you see this matchup? Ole Miss, we've seen them here today, offensively, explosive defensively. They're championship-esque. They go to Alabama.
This is about as good of a confidence boost as there has to be for a team going into one of the biggest games of their season coming in week 3. Meisenheimer again. I would imagine Hugh Freeze, his major concern, if it was a concern for him at all, I'm sure most people thought that it was the biggest concern, and I can understand why, but whoever people thought was going to be playing quarterback at Ole Miss, if there was any confusion, if there was any trepidation, I think that's out the window. That's your guy taking the first offensive snap in Tuscaloosa next week.
I think he was more settled on that than anyone was. After we talked to him, we're like, I don't think there's much of a question. And the way that Chad played today, there's less of a question. I think it's the depth on the offensive line, especially if Laramie Tunsil is not available. That's the concern to me.
Third down and 3, and a stop here for the Ole Miss defense with under 90 seconds remaining.
It's interesting on the offensive line of scrimmage when you move one guy, and that guy happens to be, quite frankly, the best left tackle in college football in my mind. There's a ripple effect all across the offensive line, and you instantly have to test your depth. And I don't think Hugh Freeze is real comfortable with that early in the year going to Tuscaloosa.
Fourth down and 3 here. Meisenheimer will run, and he'll get stopped shy. Good stop by Chief Brown on defense. Had a nice game defensively. And it'll be a turnover on downs. Great first week of this. This was fun to watch. I really enjoyed sitting down. A bit of a twist on SportsCenter. The SportsCenter that you're used to, this is not. New SportsCenter with Scott Van Pelt. Weeknights, midnight Eastern time on ESPN. If you enjoyed his radio show, which I absolutely did, I know a lot of people did, it's got a really sweet, smooth radio feel to it, bringing it to the TV side. A lot of fun, a lot of interviews, a lot of analysis, a lot of talk, a lot of fun on that show, and you'll have it next week as well.
Wonder if Butch is awake yet.
I hope he sprinted to a TV in Bristol because his son's going back at it here. managing this drive. DK Buford getting in on it. We'll get into the scorebook in this game. A couple of guys with interceptions right there. Chief Brown and CJ Johnson in his return to the lineup. The depth of Ole Miss on defense, the explosiveness of their offense. This is a good combination. And this is a good Fresno State team. They had a down year in 2014 compared to where they had been the previous couple of years. But this is a solid Fresno State team. People wanted to see them do it against an FBS team. They did it today. That should do it. (73-21), an Ole Miss record for the first 2 games of the season. 149 points. And with Alabama looming, Ole Miss will go on the road to Tuscaloosa next week to take on the Crimson Tide. 73-21. Coming up next is College Football Scoreboard presented by Honda. We'll have East Carolina, Florida coming up at the top of the hour. For Kelly and Olivia, Adam, saying so long.